Yo, this is a quick starter guide for those of you who want to pick up Prot Paladins. You can jump right into Mythics up to the plus 20 range or normal and heroic rating. We're going to cover talents, enchants, consumables, stat priority, a quick look at rotation, and some basic tips that I wish I knew when I first started. If you need a more comprehensive guide though, I always recommend checking out Wowhead, Icy Veins, or Method.gg for all of that. They do a fantastic job. I absolutely love Prot Paladin, and in my opinion, it's one of the best tanks in the game, if not the best tank in the game right now, even after the nerfs, and has the highest carry potential of any other tank because of their off healing, survivability, and insane group utility. Let's jump right into it. For stat priority, we usually want to prioritize higher item level piece of gear, just basic of stamina, armor, strength, and then we want to go for haste, mastery, verse, then crit. For enchants weapon, we definitely want Sophic Devotion. If you can't afford it, you need the cheaper version, then use Sophic Writ. Cloak, we're going to use Writ of Speed. Chest, Sustain, Strength. If you can't afford that, use Waking Stats. Bracers, Writ of Speed. For legs, we want Fierce Armor Kit or Frosted Armor Kit. And then for our rings, we want Devotion of Haste. For consumables, it's really good to have Vial of the Eye and the Storm. Adds armor and parry, which is incredibly important for Prot Paladins. Next, you want Potion of Ultimate Power in those big cooldown windows, if you can afford it. And then Refreshing Healing Potions, just a nice thing to have if you have nothing else to respond to damage. You can pop that real quick and heal yourself. To cover talents really quickly for you guys, I'm going to try to mention some key things I think are important, but this is the build we're going to be using for Mythic Plus especially. You can even use it for raid unless you're pushing some progression or something like that. Should work fine for normal and mostly heroic. But I always recommend checking out Wowhead, Icy Veins, Subcreation, Method.gg. They do a great job keeping up to date with new talent changes, new builds, anything like that. Great guides, so check them out. But I'll leave this build down in the description below. Let's cover the Paladin side of the tree real fast. So we're obviously taking these top three. We got Blessing of Freedom, Lay on Hands, and Hammer of Wrath. Those are important. Cleanse Toxins and Blinding Light are really good, especially for Mythic Plus. You could probably drop them in raid, but Cleanse Toxins, just because there's so much poison and disease effects in these new dungeons, I think it's great. And obviously Blinding Light, AoE stun on a minute half cooldown. That's awesome. We're taking Devotion Aura. We don't grab Ret Aura, at least not for Mythic Plus. You probably could grab it for raid. I think it would add some benefit if you drop one of these. Maybe grab that. Taking Divine Steed. Basically, it's our only movement ability. We're slow as hell without it. And we're taking Cavalier because you get Divine Steed has 2 charges. Really nice. Always taking an Interrupt. You want an Interrupt. Okay, I don't know why you wouldn't have an Interrupt. It's just so good. It's only on a 15-second cooldown, so it's a short Interrupt too. So not only do we have Avenger's Shield to interrupt on single targets and silence them, we also have Rebuke, which is really good, and Divine Toll. We're taking Avenging Wrath, big part of our cooldown. Blessing of Protection basically grants immunity to physical damage, harmful effects. You can not only cast this on yourself, you will drop aggro, but you can also cast it on somebody else if they're about to take a hit or something like that. Blessing of Sacrifice, this is incredibly important. I mentioned at the beginning of this video, but basically you reduce someone's damage by 30%, you take 100% of that damage. It lasts 12 seconds, or if you're going to fall below 20% health. But we also take Sacrifice of the Just, reduces the cooldown, Blessing of Sacrifice by 60 seconds. It's just really nice to have overall. I like Seal of Might, just increased by 4%, and Strength increased by 4%, so just extra little damage buff here. Of Dusk and Dawn is actually a little bit more in depth, but it's really important to take. I would grab this 100% and Seal of Order for Mythic Plus. You can maybe switch this out to Fading Light for raid. We're grabbing Divine Toll in all scenarios. It is so good. It's on a minute cooldown, does a lot of damage. Basically, it's an AoE. It can AoE interrupt. Also generates Holy Power for you, so basically you can have up to 5 Holy Power if you're hitting, 5 targets. It just shoots Avenger's Shield in every direction. It's like Captain America on steroids. And then this allows it, Divine Resonance allows it to instantly cast Avenger's Shield every 5 seconds for 15 seconds. Just really good. We're taking Zealot's Paragon, Hammer of Wrath, and Judgment. So Judgment and Hammer of Wrath actually increase do additional damage and extend the duration of Sentinel by 0.5 seconds. Sentinel is actually just Avenging Wrath. We just talented over here, especially for Mythic Plus. Alright, so I think that covers that. I think those are the main things that we're grabbing, Interrupt, AoE, Bop, Blessing of Sacrifice, Divine Toll. Just super important on this side. For the protection, spec side of the tree, let's see here. I think this is actually really good. Shield of Righteousness increases your strength and stamina by 2% for 10 seconds. So you're basically getting a damage buff and increasing your health every time you're using it. You can stack that up to 3 times. We are taking Blessed Hammer. basically does an AoE attack, our main basically AoE attack. We have 3 of those, especially for Mythic Plus. You could switch it out for Hammer of the Righteous for Raid. Sanctuary. While in your Consecration, your damage taken is reduced by additional 5%. That's really good. That's why we're always standing in our Consecration. I'll mention that too later on in tips I wish I knew. Strength and Adversity for each target hit by Avenger Shield. Gain 2% parry for 15 seconds. This is really good, especially when you're popping Divine Toll. Ardent Defender. We definitely want to take this. Reduces all damage you take by 20% for 8 seconds. Really good, almost a cheat death too that you have. We're taking Sentinel Wrath for sure for Mythic Plus. I think you could switch it out with Avenging Wrath Might for Raid. That might be a good thing to do, but Sentinel is really good overall. We're taking Guardian Ancient Kings. It's our huge long cooldown, but man, reducing damage you take by 50% for 8 seconds, that'll save your life. We do like Bastion of Light. I don't think I'd use it for Raid, but for Mythic Plus, it's really good. Your next 3 casts of Shield of the Righteous or Word of Glory cost no holy power. Again, I think this could work for both Raid and Mythic Plus, but I think it is really good for Mythic Plus, especially if you need like a Word of Glory to cast on somebody who's gonna die, your healer, maybe yourself if you need it. Really nice to have. Only on a 2-minute cooldown too. We're taking Soaring Shield. Avenger Shield jumps to 2 additional targets. Just a nice thing to have. Again, you can switch out to Focus Enmity for single target, especially because you don't really need this unless it's an AoE fight in Raid. I have tiered, guys, this is so good. It's a 45-second cooldown, okay, that reduces all damage that targets deal to us by 25% for 9 seconds. Great for Raid, great for Mythic Plus. Bulwark of Righteous Fury, this is really good. Increases basically our damage that we do. I have tier, again, damage we do, and it has a 25% reduced cooldown. This is really important. If you're going to take anything away from this, this is amazing. During Divine Shield, all targets within 15 yards are taunted. Sometimes you're just going to need to, you're going to die if you don't use this. 3.5-minute cooldown, you're popping that, you taunt everything, and you're immune to damage. Guys, so good. Don't be afraid to use that. It's only a 3.5-minute cooldown. Especially if you're in Mythic Plus, dungeons last 30, 40 minutes, you know. Use that shit. You can get so much value out of that. It's crazy. Let's see. And then we got Holy Power abilities reduce the remaining cooldown of Avenging Wrath and Guardian Ancient Kings by 2 seconds. So super important to have. And we got Sanctified Wrath here. It just basically buffs our Sentinel. So I think those are all the talents I think I mentioned here that are super important to go over with you guys. And I also think Blessing of Spell Wording can be really good too. Basically immune to magical damage and harmful effects for 10 seconds. Just another tool to have, so you can grab that if you need to, especially if there's a high magical damage dungeon or something like that. But I think that covers all the talents I think that are important. Let me know if you guys have anything down below that you think I missed or I should talk about. But overall, this build is solid, super fun. I've been doing some plus 13, 14, 15s, and I'm excited for Season 2 to just jump into it and push them plus 20s. This is going to be a blast. For AoE and single target, actually doesn't change that much, which is freaking awesome. We're going to start the pull with Avenging Wrath or Sentinel. Next, we're going to use Bastion of Light. Remember, that makes your next 3 Word of Glories or Shield of the Righteous free. They cost no holy power. Next, we're going to Divine Toll. Then we're going to Consecration. Make sure we're always standing in that. Then we're going to use Shield of the Righteous, keep our armor up. Next is Judgment. It builds holy power, and we use it as a filler. Then you use Hammer of Wrath, especially in those Avenging Wrath and Sentinel windows, or if the target is below 20% HP. Next, you're going to use Avenger's Shield. If it's an AoE pull, so 2 or 3 more mobs, you're actually going to switch Avenger's Shield with Judgment, so just replace those. Use Avenger's Shield first. Then we have Blessed Hammer or Hammer of the Righteous, builds holy power and kind of as a filler. So always stand in Consecration if you can. It reduces damage you take. Don't overcap on holy power, so spin it on Shield of the Righteous and Word of Glory. Super important to do. We don't want to keep building holy power and then not spending it because it's just a waste of holy power. And then I would say a good rule of thumb is always just use your big cooldown. So Avenging Wrath and Sentinel, Bastion of Light, and Divine Toll on cooldown. Especially when you're first getting started, you just get more value out of it. But once you start getting to know the fights better, getting better at your class, you'll know better times to use your big cooldowns like Avenging Wrath or Divine Toll for difficult pulls, AoE mobs, bosses in the raid, or anything like that, tough Mythic Plus pulls. But just use it on cooldown, and then you'll learn better times to use them later on. I got some quick tips for you guys. I wish I knew when I first started. Some of them are already quick mentioned, but I just want to highlight again because they're really important. If you guys have any tips, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I'm sure I'd like to know about them, and other people will as well. First one, Divine Shield is incredibly OP, but I do want to let you guys know that you will drop aggro, like I mentioned before, unless you have the Final Stand talented, which we do in this build. All targets within 15 yards are taunted. Just incredibly OP, so use that. 3.5 minute cooldown, really good. And I want to let you guys know you cannot put it on other people, just on yourself, okay? Blessing of Protection, otherwise known as BOP, okay? This is a really OP ability. It grants immunity to physical damage and harmful effects, but what's really good is you can put it on yourself, but you're going to drop aggro. But you can put it on other people, which will have them drop aggro, and it will protect them from physical damage and harmful effects. It's incredibly good. For instance, Fenrir and Halls of Valor, this last one, you could literally bop somebody, that Fenrir is targeting, and they didn't have to run at all. They were immune to that damage of him chomping down and all that stuff. Really good ability. Use it, okay? Next one is Avenger Shield. Avenger Shield is also a silencer. It interrupts the primary target. So it bounces to other targets too, but it interrupts whatever the primary target is. So this training dummy was casting and I cast Avenging Shield. I can interrupt or silence them for like 2 seconds or so, 2.5 seconds or something like that. So you basically have a ranged interrupt, okay? Next tip I got for you guys have so many interrupts, okay, between Rebuke, 15-second cooldown, Avenger Shield, 12-second cooldown, and Divine Toll. You have interrupts all the time. I can't say how many dungeons I had in Mythic Plus that I had like 45, 50 plus interrupts. It's insane. So use it to the best of your ability. You also have Hammer of Justice as a single target stun and Blinding Light as an AoE stun. Really good, guys. Utilize your interrupts. That's how you can carry some keys, and your group's just going to love you, okay? Next one, kind of the last one I had for you guys, Standing Consecration. Basically all the time, reduces damage you take. It's a big part of our rotation, so when you get mobs position and everything like that, always be standing in Consecration. It's just super important to have and to be using almost at all times, okay? So Consecration, be inside it. You can even see here with my weak aura that when I'm inside it, it glows, and when I'm not, it'll kind of like gray out. Really good. I think that's all the tips I wish I knew when I first started. Like I said, if you have any, leave them down below. Last thing I got for you guys is 2 add-ons I recommend, especially if you're new to the game. One of them being Weak Auras. It keeps track of so much, how long you have Shield the Righteous up, that increases your armor, when you're standing in Consecration or not, how much holy power you're spending, your cooldowns. I will leave down in the description below which one I use that I like. It's really helped me out a lot with every specialization that I play. Next is Details. You can see on the far right of my screen. You can actually see Weak Auras in the middle of my screen right here. But Details helps keep track of, how much damage everyone's doing, the total interrupts, how you die, total healing. There's just so much stuff that you can learn from that. It's incredibly informative, super helpful. I'll leave it down in the description below, but it's on CurseForge. But I just want to say thank you guys. Thank you guys for all of the support on the channel lately. It's been absolutely amazing. I hope this video helped you guys out. Hope you guys are excited to try Prot Paladin. I know I am. I will definitely be playing this specialization. Probably too much, to be honest with you. Definitely some heroic rating. Hopefully some plus 22, plus 23 keys later on in the season. It's going to be a blast. I have a lot of classes to play, so... but yeah, if you guys like the video, and then feel free to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more WoW content like this. I really appreciate it. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.